My God, I hate drugs.
But Magdalo Representative Gary Alejano says China has recently violated one of the red lines, citing an incident on May 11 when Chinese Coast Guard and Navy allegedly harassed Filipino soldiers in Ayungin Shoal.
That only May 11, and they also acknowledge that, hinaras tayo, military yun. Hindi lang yung Coast Guard, kundi PLA Navy. Pag-dispatch natin yun, yung rubber boat, yung hinarang. So, di-dispatch a helicopter hovering on a rubber boat. So, malakas ang hangin.
If everything that happens in the South China Sea, we label it in a descriptive manner, we won't be able to sort it out. So, factual. So, when they report to me, they say, na this ship was here, this is what China did, this is what we did.
On Monday, Cayetano quotes President Duterte saying that he will go to war if China will get natural resources in the West Philippine Sea. But the secretary insists that going to war is not a viable option for the Philippines right now.
Kumbaga sa basketball po, mas matangkad sila, mas masustansya kinakain nila, mas mahal ang coach nila, yung coliseum nila en grande, pero tayo puso.
The Defense Department says more tangible activities are also being carried out in Pag-asa Island, the biggest Philippine-occupied territory in the Spratlys, like improving military barracks, construction of beaching ramps, building a lighthouse, and expanding the runway in Pag-asa Island by 500 meters. While the administration and the opposition do not agree with the approach in resolving the problem in the West Philippine Sea, one thing is clear. There's a big problem that the country must eventually face head-on.
Is the government doing enough to protect the country's interests in the West Philippine Sea? The administration says yes, but not all lawmakers are convinced. Our George Cahiles tells us how discussions went during a security briefing this morning.
Araw-araw, file a protest, file a protest, file a protest, file a protest. Araw-araw ko rin sinasabing we are taking diplomatic action, we are taking diplomatic action, we are taking diplomatic action.
As far as the Duterte administration is concerned, it is quietly addressing issues in the disputed territories in the West Philippine Sea. This was the tone they set during the briefing to the Special Committee on the West Philippine Sea at the House of Representatives on Wednesday. But some lawmakers are not satisfied with the response of the administration, especially with China's increased military movements in the area.
The surface-to-surface missile, the surface-to-air missile that is there within our exclusive economic zone, or at least within range, that is something that they can use against us. That's why we should be concerned.
Walang nagsasabing hindi threat. Si Presidente nagsabing kanino directed.
Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano enumerated the so-called red lines in talking with China. Not to build facilities in Scarborough Shoal, not to remove BRP Sierra Madre in Ayungin Shoal, not to hamper resupply activities in Ayungin Shoal, and not to drill oil unilaterally in the disputed areas. George Cahiles, CNN Philippines.
Many netizens are calling on the government to do more to protect the country's interest. Twitter user @momblogger says government officials complacent or in denial of the West Philippine Sea are traitors. Cowardice is not a viable foreign policy for the Philippines. Do something. @Vlad Politicus says the Philippines needs to take a firmer stance on not just the West Philippine Sea side of things, but also the entire South China Sea. He adds we need to be wary of China's good graces and strive for a truly independent foreign policy. Meantime, Dan Santos brings up the results of the country's arbitration case against China. He says the Duterte administration did not inherit a bad situation. On the contrary, it inherited a favorable ruling from the UN Arbitral Tribunal. And Sue Galibol voices worry, saying, to be honest, natatakot ako na magkaroon ng war dahil sa West Philippine Sea. U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis says the U.S. will continue what he calls a steady drumbeat of naval exercises in the South China Sea. This is to challenge China's territorial claims amid Beijing's alleged militarization of contested waters. This comes days after 2 U.S. warships sailed within 12 nautical miles of islands claimed by China in the Paracel Island chain. Beijing expressed firm opposition to the sail-by. Speaking to reporters during a flight to Hawaii, Mattis said the South China Sea was part of international waters and a lot of nations wanted to see freedom of navigation maintained in the area. Moving on, trade officials try to allay public concern of rising prices of goods and commodities. Trisha Terada reports live from Makati City. Trisha, what are officials saying about this?
Well, a number of consumers are voicing concern about skyrocketing prices of goods, but trade officials say based on price monitoring activities and records over the past 3 months, the cost of basic goods and prime commodities are within the suggested retail price.
Ito, as we reported to you, ayaw nyong, hindi naman kayo, no? Pero ayaw maniwala ng karamihan. Maraming nagsasabi na tataasan na lahat. Madali ho kasing sabihin yon. Nagagalit na nga ho sa amin na sinasabi namin walang nagtataas. Pero based on research, survey, and studies, and actual monitoring teams, walang nagtataas pati dun sa agri-products. Yung sinasabi sigurong pagtaas may refer also to other bagay at iba-ibang bagay. No? So kunwari, sa report ng inflation, alam nyo naman yung breakdown. Mga restaurants, service-oriented, transportation, kasi nga yung oil price, world market oil price. Even in the US, nagre-reklamo sila, ang taas-taas na ng presyo ng oil products sa kanila. Tobacco, kasi nga, yun yung may excise tax eh.
Trade officials met with the National Pricing Coordinating Council to address reports on price increases before issuing the price monitoring results. But to assure the public of corresponding actions and their concerns, the government will put in place price monitoring mechanisms. Beginning first week of June, the Interior Department may release its guidelines to reactivate the Local Pricing Coordinating Council to check if the public markets and stores are complying with the suggested retail price or SRP. The Trade Department will also see to it that small retail stores will comply with the SRP. The Agriculture Department will also raise or release a price cap for agriculture products like poultry, beef, and other produce not covered by the DTI's monitoring. Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez advises consumers to go to groceries and supermarkets that follow the SRP for basic commodities. He says the public can report to the DTI retailers overpricing their goods. The DTI assures the public it is making rounds to make sure prices are within the prescribed range. Just like this morning, trade officials went around Divisoria in Manila ahead of school opening to check on the quality of prices and prices of school supplies. Mai?
Thank you, Trisha Terada. They're reporting to us live from Makati. As fuel gets more expensive, the transport sector is asking for higher fares. While the jeepney fare hike petition is pending before regulators, some transport groups are appealing for higher fuel discounts. Our Makoy Popioko tells us more.
Jeepney driver Noel Texon says he needs to earn at least 2,000 pesos on a 14-hour shift. He spends at least 1,000 pesos on fuel every day and he needs to pay a 600 peso boundary or fee to the jeepney owner. Noel takes home about 400 pesos for his family every day.
Malaking epekto sa pamilya namin. Lalo na ako, marami rin akong anak. Kagaya ngayon, hindi pa ako nakakabili ng gamit ng bata para sa eskwela.
Noel says rising fuel prices is making it difficult to make ends meet. That's why he supports some jeepney operators' petition for a fare hike. And they want a big-time fare hike of 4 pesos, which somewhat surprised regulators during a hearing.
Now you are asking for plus 4 pesos. Tama po ba?
They want the current 8 peso fare raised to 12 pesos. Asked about the changes in the fare hike amount, petitioner Pasang Mazda President Obet Martin issues a clarification.
Nagkaroon pala sila ng pag-uusap ng aming abogado na para siguro binanggit ni Ms. Maran para dun sa brand yun ng GP.
Martin says their petition remains at 2 pesos. This was filed last February. Regulators say transport groups should present a common fare hike petition for the next hearing on June 13th. Meanwhile, the jeepney groups are also proposing another scheme to cushion the impact of high fuel prices. A 4 to 5 peso fuel discount in exchange for the fare hike.
Walang problema. Sa 8 pa rin tayo. 5 pesos na gawin din ng discount from 45 hanggang 40, okay na kami doon. Para mapagbigyan din natin ang mga kahilingan ng ating mga mananakay.
Some oil companies are already giving a 1 peso discount for PUV drivers. But Martin says this amount is not enough. Lizada says transport regulators will meet with oil executives about the proposed discount on June 15th.
If they are able to have basketball teams, di ba may mga basketball team sila? Pwede ba kami naman na ngayon ang humingi ng tulong sa inyo? It's not for us. The end objective is for the riding public.
The oil price spike is cutting across other modes of transport as well, as airline companies seek permission to restore the fuel surcharge on passengers. The surcharge was removed in early 2015.
Po ang mga petitions namin hindi naman talaga sa increase ng pamasahe but petitions for the reimposition of the fuel surcharge. So dalawang domestic carriers na po natin nag-file ng petition to lift the prohibition on fuel surcharge, PAL and Cebu Pacific.
Some shipping companies have already adjusted fares to reflect higher fuel costs.
Based from our franchising service, Mr. Chair, there are some CP owners are starting to increase their fares to recover for the increase in fuel prices.
Cheaper fuel may not come soon. That's why people in the transport sector like Noel could only hope the government and oil companies heed their plea for relief. Makoy Popioko, CNN Philippines.
We asked some of you, are you in favor of a jeepney fare hike? Here are your voices.
Okay lang siguro kasi taas ang gas pero sa estudyante dapat mababa lang at sa mga senior citizen.
Okay lang kung tataas para din sa mga driver kasi kawawa din naman kasi naghahanap buhay din sila.
Hindi po pumapabor dito kasi po kesa po yung mamamayan po, sa mamamayan po nila ilagay yung dagdag ng presyo. Dapat po, may patupad yung gobyerno para maiwasan yung pagtaas.
Hindi po. Kasi po, sobrang taas na po kasi ng pamasahe. Bali, yun, kasabay nung mga yung mga taong mas mabababa yung sahod. Magiging lugi, paano pa kung mas malayo?